Hello, 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 hello. Sorry about the other day. Uh, it's Wednesday and it's summertime and a lot is going on with everyone, including myself. That's why Monday wasn't here. We made it for Wednesday. So, everyone could hear me. Everything is okay. The video, the voice, the volume, the drums, everything okay. Hey, Paul, how you doing? You missed a lot, Paul. Where'd you go on vacation? Anyway, I did send you PDFs when you were on vacation. Hopefully you printed them out. And what we're going to be doing, that camera's not in a good point. Okay. It's not a good view here. All right, that's okay. I'm not going to get up and change the camera, move it over somewhat. But anyway, you went to D.C., you visited Trump, huh? Okay, very good. Anyway, we were working on linear concepts using the stick control book. And with the stick control book, I used a grid. The grid meaning moving over one every downbeat. So if I had counted, for example, I'm taking them as 16ths, 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the first downbeat, the first part of the grid would be 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and Now you understand the movement of the grid, Paul, or whoever else is watching. And I've taken a few lines from the stick control book and made the first part of the grid, whatever it was, if it was a right or if it was a left. If it was a right, it would be your bass drum. If it was a left, it would be your hi-hat. Okay, and that would move over the grid. Now, I explained that last time, and I'm going to go over it somewhat. We're going to take one or two or three lines, and we're going to work with the metronome, and I'm going to show you what worked for me to learn this and how I developed it. And then once you get this section of the lesson down, we're going to take mixtures of sticking, and we're going to maintain the grid, and we're going to start to develop funk patterns. How does that sound? Good, I guess. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's take line 1 of the stick control book. And what I'm doing with this is I'm taking, instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, I'm making it 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. Now I'm only going to take the first part of the grid, okay, for the first line right now, just so you develop it. Okay, so remember, whenever it's a right, if it falls on the first part of the grid, it's going to be the bass drum. If it's whatever part of the grid is coming down on you, if it's a L, it means left, hi-hat. So we're going to use, first, I'm just going to explain it for your benefit, Paul. Again, if I took the first line and just went 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and maintain that, okay? And I want to use just the downbeat of the grid. So the first part of the grid would be on the downbeat, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So we're developing that. So we're going to use the bass drum. 1E and 2E and let me get my glasses off here. Sorry. All right, so we have 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and That's the first part of the grid. Now, my recommendation, I didn't do this last week. We're going to do it this week. And you're going to find yourself a tempo on the metronome. First, become familiar how things fall. You feel good with that, then challenge yourself on the metronome. So I'm going to put the metronome on 60. Can we hear that click? Yes or no? We could hear the click. 1E and the 2E and the 3. Now you can't hear it. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4. Now, we're going to play the line on one surface first, then we're going to do the first part of the grid. And we're going to go back to the line. Here we go. 1, 2E and the 3E and the 4. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the 1. 3E and the 4E and the 1E and the 2. Now, that's how I recommend practicing that. Come on, metronome. And it's at a moderate tempo. It's at 60. It's not a problem. Now, we're containing just the I guess the 3 voices. 1, 2, 3. Now, once you feel good with that, and make sure that you're playing. I'm going to do it without the metronome again, nice and slow. I'm playing the line on one surface first. The second measure, I'm going to play the first part of the grid. That would be an R, that would be the bass drum. So I'm going nice and slow. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a. Simple. And I just keep doing that over and over again. And right now it was at 60. So we're containing it to this right now. So let's not be creative. Let's be creative, and let's move that around somewhat. Okay? For example, if I go 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and one way. All right? Let's do it another way. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and now, they don't sound like too much of anything, but first get familiar with how you want to move them around. As long as you maintain the sticking pattern, it doesn't really matter what voice you're using, except for the fact that where it falls on the first part of the grid, it's on the right, so you're using the bass drum. For example, here's another way you can move them onto the drum set. 1 E and, 1 E and 1 E and 2. And build them up. You know, that's not the end. I'm just explaining and demonstrating as slow as possible. Now, that's the first part of the grid. Remember how you want to enter this. I'm going to put the metronome on 60 again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the first line on one surface. Then I'm going to play the grid, the first part of the grid, and then back to the one surface again, and then maybe move it around somewhat, and then back to the line again. In between each time I do the grid or the part of the grid, I'm playing the line as written. Now, eventually, and we're going to do this probably later on tonight or next week one day. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. Play some sort of pattern going on, but not yet. Next week, I have a lot in store for everyone. We're going to have a lot of fun using mixtures. I'm going to give you a PDF sheet, okay? And on the PDF sheet, I'm going to display the 16th note pattern with the sticking I want to use. And we're going to play, it's going to develop you into some funk patterns. You'll see. It's hard for me to explain that right now without you visualizing it. But that's what I recommend. All right, let's go to the second part of the grid. And the second part of the grid now is the E. Now, if we're doing line 1, the E is an L. So the L is going to equal, boom, the hi-hat. So it would be 1, E, and 2. Now, I'm using a hi-hat because I really don't play double beaters or double bass drums. I'm not Dennis Chambers by no means, or definitely not Louis Bellson. I'm old school, I guess, if you want to call it that. That's my pedal system. I do have double pedals. I don't really want to set them up, but maybe I will next week. And you could use, instead of the L as the hi-hat, you could use the L as the other bass drum. We understand that, gentlemen. All right, let's go to the E. Now remember, play the line as written. We're still on line 1, okay? And then the second measure, you put in the part of the grid, which is going to be the E. So I'm going to do it slow. 1, E, and 2, E, and 4. Now the grid. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, back. E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, 4, E, and so on and so forth. Now, if you want, I'll move them around. The thing is, I mean, there's no right or there is no wrong when you move them around, as long as you maintain the system. How you doing, Steve? Glad to see you again. It's nice. We're working on a stick control book, the grid, using the top and the bottom. And eventually, next week, one day, I'm going to take a mixture of sticking patterns, write them out, and develop them into a funk pattern. Because that's basically what funk drumming is linear. Okay? All right, now, we were on the E. I'm playing the line as written. And I went to the E instead of the 1, 2, 3, 4, the downbeat. So on the E, it was a left. Let me do it again. 1 E and play the line, 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 and back to the line. Now, we're going to go to the and, which now the and is an R, so that's going to be boom. So one surface, just I'm going to demonstrate where the grid falls. Then we're going to work it as play the line, then implement the grid, part of the grid, then play the line back and forth. Okay, so we got on the and now. 1 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1. And back to the line. Over and over again. Now, my recommendation is to play it without the metronome first. Become familiar with the feel, what's going on. Then, everybody's going to be different. I put the metronome on 60. You might want to start at 50 or maybe 100. Whatever is good for you and what works for you is where you should go. But it's just a recommendation of how to develop this. You see, here's how I look at it, and this is going to be a little corny, but that's okay. I'm a corny person. What we're going to do, it's like, for example, if you're going to plant grass seed on dirt, that's what you usually plant it on, right? And you sit there and say, okay, 2, 3 days pass by, 4 days pass by, 5 days pass by. It's not growing. Why? Because you don't water it. So let's take putting the grass down as the pattern and watering the grass as practicing. So think about it that way. You have to work at these in order for you to develop them. Okay, so now we're on the duh. Now the duh of the first line is an L. That means we're going to use the hi-hat. Ding. So we have now 1 E and duh, 2 E and duh, 3 E and duh, 4 E and duh. Okay? And again, do the line as written from the stick control book. 1 E and 2 E, 3 E and 4 E. And then the foot, 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4 All right, so that takes care of the 4 parts of the grid. Now, I'm not going to do the whole grid itself because I just one line, one part of the grid, that's 4 different ways of doing the first line on one surface. Like I said, you can move it around. There's no right or there is no wrong as long as you maintain the sticking. Example, line, the last one we just did, I'm not going to just play 1 E and da. That's the line. That's part of the exercise. But now be creative. 1 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4, so on and so forth. My mistake. Okay, so that takes care of that. I'm just letting you know and letting everybody understand where we're going to go with this. Okay, I mean, if I played it between, I exchanged the voices, and I did the first line. Now, I maintained the sticking, I maintained the pattern, but I just changed the voices. 1 E and, 1 E and 2 E and. Simple. You do whatever you want, but first you want this. 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 4 E and 1, so on and so forth. Okay, do you like this so far, gentlemen, or no? I'm going to skip to line 3. I really enjoy that line, and I also enjoy line 5. But we're going to mix them all up next week, and I'm going to write the PDF with some possibilities in different colors. Okay? Now, line 3, we're going to do the same thing. The rules apply. The first part of the grid, the second part of the grid, third part, and fourth part. But first, let's take the sticking pattern. 1 E and 2 E, 3 E and 4 E and so we have now with the system. 1. Okay, now we play the line. 1 E and 2 E and 4 E and 1. 3 E and 4, the line. I'm sorry, I did line 1. Let's do it again. 1 E and 2, 3 E and 4 E and 1. Back and forth. Hold on. Now we're going to go to the second part of the grid, which is going to be now the E. So instead of going 1 E, we're going to have 1 E. Okay? So do the line. 1 E and 2 E, 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2, 3 E and 4 E and 1. And back to the line. Then we go to the and. Do the line. 1 E and 3 and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E, 4 E and back to the line. And then the da. 1 E and da. 1 E. So on and so forth. Okay, let me see who else. Ed, you there? You enjoying this developmental process? Nice and slow, nice and easy. And I'm trying to say to everybody, I'm giving a practice procedure, how to enter this. If it works for you, that's great. If it don't work for you, try something else that works. Do we understand that, gentlemen? Ed, you still there? 9,000 people in a room and only 3 people are talking. Okay, everybody's afraid. We're drummers. Drummers are not shy. Get in the chat and say hello. Yo, hello. It's Wednesday. Okay, I'm not sure if I can pronounce that, but I'm going to try. What is that? Rapori? We all understand. When did you get here, Mr. Rapori? A pottery? Okay. Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to line, we did line 3, right? Now, what I'd like to do, let's go back to line 1. I'm not going to use the metronome. I'm just going to wing it, okay? I'm going to play, we're not going to do a 4-measure drum solo. We're going to exchange 1 measure. And by 1 measure, I mean, I'm just going to play a simple pattern for 1 measure and then play the line with the grid part. The first part was you missed a lot. You should come back tonight, 8:30 p.m. right here on this channel. All right, I can't go backward here because I got about 10 minutes and I want to do this part of the lesson. So I refer to this simple pattern. I call it the money beat. Boom, pop, boom, pop. 1 and 2 and 3. First part. Gee, sticks. 3, 4, 1, 2. There you go. Just another way to do it. Instead of playing the line, just play the time. But use the metronome. Once you feel comfortable with what you're doing. Now, I'm just being very simple on the hi-hat. I'm being simple with a pattern. The stick control book, as always. That's what we're following. If you don't, you know what? You don't have the PDFs. I'm going to give you my email. You email me and you'll get the PDFs. Here's my email. Where did it go? Oh, for crying out. There you go. This system is getting crazy. If you email me, okay, is that your first name? What's the Holy Grail. Yeah, the stick control. Email me, I'll send you the PDFs. We're on the 2nd week of this. I introduced it last week. It's very slow. Now we're going to start to climb the ladder. Who is this? Well, I don't like to mention names, Gerald, but, you know, I love the man. He's brilliant. He's a genius. He's a scientist. But he got married. All right, well, give me your real name. And email me. I'll send you the PDFs, and I'll put you on my mailing list. Gerald, you too. My email is there. You email me. I'll send you the PDFs. Anyway, talking about the gentleman you just mentioned, I'm not going to say his name because it's not correct to say that. He's a nice man. I learned a lot from him, not only musically but socially. And he got married. He went to another country, found himself a very nice lady, and hopefully they live happily ever after. Oh boy, Ogle? Sorry, I mean, what country are you from? My time's almost up here. I'm here tonight at 8:30. Okay, 8:30, and we're going to take this to another platform tonight. And I will not be here 1 o'clock Friday, but I will be here 8:30 p.m. Friday. So, and what country are you from there, Ogle? Is that how you pronounce it? All right, well, anyway, I know who you are. Turkey, okay. You going to stick around, Gerald? You want the PDFs or no? If you want the PDFs, email me. Okay. Are there any questions? The guys who came in late, I'm sorry. I can't go back and start again. What's this? Come in, well, if you, I guess there's a 7-hour, yeah, well, we're going to be leaving in about 2 minutes, Paul. Without the C. What's C? It don't matter. I know who you are. Just email me, and I'll give you the PDFs. You too, Gerald. You're still here, right? Okay. Tonight, 8:30 p.m. We're taking it to another level. My pleasure, gentlemen. I'm doing this on YouTube until the end of August, then I'm going back to my site. My site is a paid-for site, and occasionally I will do a YouTube lesson, but mostly on my site. All right, gentlemen. Is there any questions on anything? No questions? I'm going to close it up. Any questions? Okay, no questions? Okay, that's good. Everybody understands. We're going to develop this into some funk patterns come next week, so stay tuned. Okay, gentlemen, have a good day.